The night was still, the air was cold. Not a leaf stirred in the gaunt skeletal trees that surrounded the village of Kolu. Even the dogs, usually so eager to bark at the moon, lay silent. It was a silence born of fear, a silence that pressed down on the village like a shroud. Tonight, the well would claim its due. The villagers of Kolu knew this silence well. Every Saturday night, as the clock ticked past midnight, the silence would descend. A silence so profound, so complete, that it felt as if the world itself was holding its breath. And then the knocking would begin. Kolu was an ancient village, nestled deep in the heart of a valley. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the echoes of the past lingered in every corner. Generations had lived and died here, their lives and stories woven into the very fabric of the place. The villagers were bound by tradition, their days marked by the rhythm of the seasons and the cycles of the moon. But there was a darkness at the heart of Kolu, a secret shame that haunted its cobblestone streets and cast long shadows over its people. It was a tale whispered in hushed tones, a story that no one dared to speak aloud. It was the well, of course, the well that stood at the edge of the village, its mouth sealed with a heavy iron grate, its stones slick with the dampness of ages. The well was a silent sentinel, a reminder of a past that refused to be forgotten. A century old, at least the well was ancient, its origins lost to time. No one knew who had built it or why, but it had always been there, a fixture in the village's landscape. Some whispered that it was a gateway to another world, a portal to a realm of shadows and whispers. They said that on certain nights, when the moon was full, you could hear voices coming from the depths of the well. Others said it was a prison, a place where the village's darkest secrets were buried, where the sins of the past were locked away, never to be spoken of again. The well was a symbol of the village's shame, a reminder of the darkness that lay at its heart. The well, they said, was where the souls of sinners were sent. Those who had transgressed in life, who had broken the sacred laws of God and man, were condemned to spend eternity trapped within its depths. Their cries, their pleas for mercy, were what echoed up from the darkness every Saturday night, a chilling reminder of the well's insatiable hunger. Over the years, there had been many attempts to seal the well, to silence the dreadful knocking that haunted their nights. Priests had come, chanting prayers and swinging incense, but their efforts had been in vain. The well remained, a gaping maw of darkness, a constant reminder of the village's sins. But tonight, something was different. Tonight, 3 young men had decided to face the darkness. Ali, Waqas and Salman were as different as 3 friends could be. They came from different walks of life, each with their own unique strengths and weaknesses, yet their bond was unbreakable. Ali, the eldest, was strong and silent, a blacksmith by trade, his muscles honed from years of working the forge. His hands were calloused and his face often smudged with soot, but his heart was as warm as the fires he tended. Waqas, the scholar, was thin and wiry, his head always buried in a book, his mind a labyrinth of knowledge and lore. He could recite ancient texts and solve complex equations, yet he often found himself lost in the real world, his thoughts wandering far beyond the present. And Salman, the youngest, was all fire and spirit, impulsive and reckless, always eager for adventure. His eyes sparkled with mischief, and his laughter was infectious, drawing others into his whirlwind of excitement.
They had made a pact, these 3. A pact sealed with a handshake and a shared flask of strong, sweet tea. It was a promise to stand by each other, no matter what challenges lay ahead. A vow forged in the fires of friendship.
They would go to the well at the stroke of midnight, and they would see with their own eyes what secrets it held. The well was said to be ancient, a relic from a time long forgotten, and the stories surrounding it were as dark as the night itself.
Their motives were their own. Curiosity, bravado, a yearning to prove themselves. Foolish perhaps, but youth is often a stranger to fear. They stood together, their faces illuminated by the pale moonlight, ready to face whatever awaited them at the bottom of the well. It was a journey into the unknown, a test of their courage and their bond, and they were determined to see it through, no matter the cost.
The air grew colder as they approached the well. A shiver ran down Ali's spine, and he pulled his shawl tighter around his shoulders. The full moon hung heavy in the sky, casting long, distorted shadows that danced and writhed like phantoms. The silence was absolute, broken only by the sound of their own breathing and the pounding of their hearts.
They stood at the edge of the well, peering down into the abyss. The iron grate had been removed, revealing the dark, gaping maw of the well. A foul metallic smell rose from its depths, making their stomachs churn.
I'll lower the torch.
Salman whispered, his voice barely audible above the pounding of his heart. The tension in the air was palpable. Each breath he took felt like a struggle against the oppressive darkness surrounding them. He struck a match against the rough stone, the sudden flare of light momentarily blinding in the darkness. The small flame was a fragile beacon, fighting against the overwhelming blackness that threatened to swallow them whole. The flame caught, casting flickering shadows that danced and swayed around them. The shadows seemed almost alive, twisting and contorting in a macabre dance that mirrored their own fear and uncertainty.
There's something down there. The words hung in the air, heavy with dread and anticipation. It was a statement that carried the weight of the unknown, a fear that gnawed at the edges of their sanity.
Wakas peered over the edge, his eyes straining to penetrate the gloom. The darkness seemed impenetrable, a void that swallowed all light and hope. He could feel the cold, damp air rising from the well, chilling him to the bone. His voice was tight with apprehension. Every muscle in his body was tense, ready to react to whatever might emerge from the depths below. Ali pushed closer, his hand resting on the hilt of his knife. The blade was a small comfort, a tangible piece of security in a situation that felt increasingly out of control. And then he saw it. A hand. It emerged slowly, almost hesitantly, as if testing the air above. A hand, pale and skeletal, reaching up from the darkness of the well. The sight was both mesmerizing and horrifying, a grotesque reminder of the unknown terrors that lurked in the shadows. The torch flickered, casting grotesque shapes on the well's damp stone walls. The light played tricks on their eyes, making the hand seem to move and shift in ways that defied logic. And then, with a suddenness that made them flinch back, the hand shot out, long bony fingers grasping for the light. The movement was so quick, so unexpected, that it sent a jolt of fear through their hearts, leaving them frozen in place, staring in horror at the skeletal appendage. The torch was extinguished in an instant, plunging them into a darkness so profound it felt like a physical weight. A collective gasp escaped their lips, followed by a terrifying silence.
Salman, Wakas?
Ali's voice was tight with fear. There was no answer, only the echo of their own breathing in the suffocating darkness. The following morning, the villagers of Kolu gathered around the well. The iron grate lay on the ground, discarded. The rope that had held the torch dangled limply into the abyss. Burnt shreds of cloth fluttered in the breeze, snagged on the rough stone. Of Ali, Wakas, and Salman, there was no sign.